Interesting times. How long will we continue to deal with COVID, the shutdown internationally? I want to speak to those of you who, like myself, are eager to get back into China, to see our friends over there and continue the partnerships that we've established. My last trip was in November of 2019. I didn't know. I fully expected to return in a couple months, but didn't happen. So I continued to buy air tickets. Well, I'll go in February. That didn't work. Well, that's fine. I'll go in April. That didn't work. And so it continued until finally I just began to lean on the airlines. I thought when they start flying and they're openly selling their tickets, that'll be my cue. Well, we know more now than we did early 2020. So it continues, and how long before we can return to our friendships, our business as we've known it? Don't know. As recently as this week, there's a new outbreak in Fujian, and we just continue to hear reports, a new strain, new requirements. What we do know is that if you want to go into China, that you can anticipate a 14-day quarantine. We've spoken about that before here, so no need to go into that in great detail. But you'll be put into a hotel. They will bring you food 3 times a day. And if you enjoy cold rice and a few other niceties, you'll be very happy. If you enjoy Chinese television, you'll probably be content. But for most of us, it doesn't make sense to go through a 14-day quarantine and then go on about our visits and our business. It's just too time demanding. So the question I want to raise is, what can we be doing now until this ends? And I'd like to divide our discussion into 2 categories. First, what can we do externally? And then second, what can we be doing internally within our business or organization? On the external front, I think we can use this time to build friendship. We have so much in common with our friends in China. They also are frustrated. We live in a global society, or in one of my books I call it a global society. We're united, and what we face here in the United States and the uncertainty is very similar to what our friends in China are facing. And so we can be writing notes of encouragement, just friendship. Let them know that we care about them and that they're loved and appreciated and that they're missed. And part of that is remembering them on special holidays. Right now, we're around the time of the autumn festival. And maybe you could buy some mooncakes and have them sent to your friends over there. But just to acknowledge that their calendar, to let them know that just because the miles that separated us does not mean that our relationship has been severed. And we all know how important it is to not be forgotten. And so that's just an obvious. Remember their birthday. If you pick up some news from over in China, acknowledge that news. I mentioned the Fujian outbreak. If you're aware of changes in regulations and policies, you can address those in a either official or non-official manner. A second way that we have attempted to keep the bridge open is we have offered to help in looking at some of the upcoming major events. I think of the Olympics in 2022 that China will be hosting, the Winter Olympics. We wrote to one set of partners over there, and we offered to help finance a special project connected with the Olympics. Now, the answer came back that they probably will not be doing this project that we suggested. And so it was a gracious thank you, but no thank you. To us, it really wasn't that important whether we did it or not. Our offer was sincere, but it was more that we wanted to engage them and stay connected. So any overture of friendship, even if it's a business suggestion, could be wise and helpful. Finally, in the external realm, if you have staff over in China, what a marvelous time to affirm them, to not only express your gratitude for what they're doing on your behalf, but also to convey your trust. They are there, you're not. You're wholly dependent upon your colleagues inside of China. So any conveyance of your trust is crucial right now, maybe more than ever. So these are just three arenas. Perhaps it prompts you to think, what can you be doing, even if you can't travel to China, and if some of the normal procedures have been truncated. Now, what can we be doing internally during the COVID period? Again, I would make three suggestions as I did with the external. One is we can use this time that we would normally be traveling. I've habitually been traveling up to 200,000 miles a year for the last 2 decades of my life. Well, don't do that right now because international travel has been shut down. So what I can do is utilize that time for fresh study. I'll be teaching a course in the coming months on cross-cultural communications. And in order to communicate well, I need to read well. And let me be very clear. I'm not talking about browsing social media or reading people's abbreviated blogs. Yes, we need to do that to stay relevant and to keep relationships open. I'm talking about actually reading. When's the last time you read an academic book? For some of you, I suspect it's been quite a while. Maybe now's the time you can do as I do, read at least one book a week in your field of study. I'm going to suggest something that may prompt you to think that I'm living as a Luddite. But have you considered your local library? They do exist. And there's an immense amount of material inside those public libraries that I don't know, they're free. And if your library is anything like mine, they now give you, I think it's 3 weeks. And if you don't take the book back in, they give you another automatic 3 weeks renewal. And you can check out up to 80 books at a time. So you're not going to hit a home run with the first book you check out, but go to that section on China international relationships, or whatever your field is, and become a student again. Read. Now, one little trick I learned, I go to the library, most of the books are all once through and they're done. I might make a few notes or copy a few pages, whatever the case may be. But when I find a really good book, Amazon. And you just go online, you order it, add it to your library, and you continue your academic growth. I fear that many of us, unfortunately, have not done any serious study since we graduated. And for a few of us, that was a long time ago. Much has changed. So read. Continue to be a student in your area of expertise. Secondly, Sinusize. One nice thing about China is you don't have to guess what they're interested in or where they're headed. And President Xi, pass it on down through the ranks, wants to Sinusize the country. He does not want the Western hat on the Chinese organizations or businesses or nonprofits. So think about how you can Sinusize your literature, your internal communications, your personal vocabulary, and see what you can do in your labels, your branding, to appease what China's looking for. Now, you don't need to compromise your core values. I'm not suggesting that we in the West necessarily need to be or pretend to be Communist Party members, unless we are. You can still be authentic. You can still maintain your core values, whatever they may be. But Sinusizing has more to do with the appearance and the tipping of the hat, the respect for the Chinese culture and history. One of the approaches I've taken to this is to, again, go back and relearn some basic Chinese history. And I've started with the different dynasties, beginning with Qin Shi Huangdi and going all the way through to the current. So that when I am in conversation, I can authentically and meaningfully engage in our approach. Number 3, I believe that we can internally within our organizations, we can brainstorm. Maybe you could offer a prize to your employees and play a game. And here's the question. When we begin to travel again and when international events return or international relations return to normal, what will the reset look like? And then write down a summary of what each employee suggested, and then give a prize to the ones that were closest to reality. We do know, without a doubt, that when the reset button is pushed, our world will change. It's very unlikely that we're going to return to the way life was and the way we've known it, say, in the last 20 years. This will involve requirements for travel. Will new visas be required? What will be the regulations and the rules of transparency in our travel? You can call this surveillance if you wish. I suspect that it will just be considered medical tracking, medical awareness. And I doubt if these changes are going to be temporary. They're likely to be more permanent. So what will your insiders in the organization suggest that we can look forward to as the reset button is pushed and we continue to build our friendships in the beautiful country of China? So just a few thoughts. I hope they're helpful. Love to hear from you. Best regards.